Today we're going to take a look at how to turn a Google form into a quiz. So here you can see I have a Google form set up. I have a place where students are putting their name, their hour, and then I've created a multiple choice, a checkbox, a short answer, a drop down, and a paragraph response. Now, as of right now in Google Forms, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, and short answers will grade automatically for you. You can go through and manually grade the other question types. So once I have my questions in here, and again, I have a multiple choice, checkbox, short answer, drop down, and a paragraph response, I'm going to go ahead and hit my settings gear icon by my send button, and I'm going to go over to my quizzes section. As soon as I turn on my toggle to make this a quiz and click save, under each question, I'm going to have the option to add an answer key and a point value. Now, I'm not going to give them points for putting their hour, but I do want to give them points for my first question here, who is the narrator of The Great Gatsby. So how I set up my points, I'm going to click into the question. So I have the question open. I could actually go in and make any changes I needed to that question itself. But I'm going to go ahead and click the answer key button. When I'm in here, I can decide how many points I want this question to be worth. And then I also need to create my answer key, meaning I need to select the correct answer. So in this case, Nick Carraway is the narrator of The Great Gatsby. I've marked that as the correct answer, worth 1 point. Now I'm going to move to my checkbox question. In the checkbox question, multiple answers can result in a correct answer, so they can check multiple answers. So I'm going to go into my answer key. There actually are 2 correct answers here. I'm going to check both of them to mark them as correct, and I'm going to make this one worth 2 points. I'm going to move on to my short answer, and this is a newer update in Google Form quizzes. So when I go to my answer key, you're going to see that I'm able to put multiple correct answers. So in this case, Gats is the correct spelling, but I want to do one with lowercase, and maybe they might put an S instead of a Z, so I'll accept that as well. I can also decide to mark all other answers as incorrect, so I don't want to manually grade any that are something else. And this is going to be worth 1 point. For my drop down, same idea here. I go into my answer key, I select my correct answer, I can change the point value, and then I move on to my paragraph. Now, we can't have Google quizzes grading our paragraph responses, but when I go to the answer key, I can change how many points this is worth. And this is just going to help me when I'm manually going through and totaling the points, so I have my total value of the quiz. One more thing to quickly look at here before we go into settings. Inside of the answer key, I can add answer key feedback. So again, I clicked inside my question, I'm clicking answer feedback, and I can decide to give students some feedback if they have the incorrect answer and some feedback if they have the correct answer. You're going to notice I do have the ability to link. So this would be a good place to link back to a study guide or some resources online for students to get some feedback on. Now, as far as feedback is concerned and when students see feedback, I'm going to go into my settings for my quiz. I'm going to go over to the quiz tab here. Under my quiz options, I have a couple of things that I can do as far as feedback is concerned. When do I want my students to see their grade on their quiz? Do I want them to see it right after they click that submit button? If so, I'm going to go ahead and leave my toggle on immediately after each submission. Or later after manual review. If your students can receive emails, they can receive an email with their grade. And then what do I want them to see depending on when I say they can see it? Do I want them to see missed questions, correct answers, point values? So I can make those changes there. Don't forget, under the general settings, you do want to make sure that you're collecting all the information you need from them. So if you do want to send them an email later on with if they can receive emails, if you do want to send them an email later on with that feedback, you do need to make sure that you're collecting the email addresses. Do you want them to only take the quiz once? Do you want it only open to WSDR4 people? Can they edit after they submit? And do you want them to see a summary of how everyone else answered? Once I have these settings, how I want them, I'm going to click my Save button. And now I'm ready to send out my quiz to my students. So I can go ahead and put that link out there for them, or I can go in through Google Classroom and attach it through the Drive option to an assignment. One more thing we want to look at here. So after students have taken our quiz, so we have 4 responses in here, I want to quickly show you what the grading part looks like. So under responses here, there are three sections: summary, question, and individual. Summary is just good feedback for me, or if you want to display for you as a teacher, or if you want to display it to your students. You can quickly go through question by question and see how many people answered the question in different ways. So I can see the breakdown of how students did on each question. The question tab in Google Forms allows me to grade question by question. It's going to group similar responses together, and I can go ahead and mark all of those similar responses correct, change point value, or mark incorrect. Under the individual tab is where I'm going to go to change any points for any questions individually and to grade my paragraph response. So here you're going to see it's out of 5. I can figure out how many points I want it worth, and then I can click my save button. When I'm ready to release my scores, I can release my scores if I have in my settings decided to submit after manually reviewing. So again, this is how to set up your Google form as a quiz, and it will grade those responses for you.